that's kind of part of the reason why I've decided to do another one.
The itch.
I got the itch on the day, but I had the itch prior, and I had been saying it on my Instagram a little bit at different times, saying I'm getting the itch again.
I would argue to the fact that not many of them have too much transformations to show off on their
100%.
page, and there's a reason for that.
They're all going to be there after you get to where you want to be, and you've got more leeway and got more room to enjoy them once you've completed it or ticked off that goal.
Welcome back, everyone, and this is episode number 2.
Episode 2
of the podcast. So in this episode, we're basically going to talk about what we're currently up to ourselves.
Yep, so we are in the middle of a photo shoot prep, and we will be doing our photo shoot on the 19th of June.
How many photo shoots have you done?
So this will be my 5th one.
5th. And this is going to be my 1st. So it's going to be interesting. But in this episode, I kind of wanted to discuss the 5 things that we're doing to get in photo shoot shape. The 5 things that you need to do to get in photo shoot shape. And they're not what you think. And we're saving the 5th, the most important one, for last. So make sure to stick around for that. But the first one that I wanted to mention is, and it's something, it kind of ties into what I have been doing up until this point, because this is my first photo shoot. But number 1 is spend a long time building muscle. What do you think of that?
Yeah, and I suppose that's the mistake I made. My first one I was like a pencil. I just had.
Do you have any pictures?
I do, yeah. I can whip some up, yeah. I have some pictures. I actually put up a post on Instagram the other day going through kind of the transformations, because I done one in 2018, 2019, 2020 and 2021.
Right. Okay.
So I haven't done one since 2021.
Okay.
But I suppose that's the mistake I made before my first one, was I hadn't spent long enough building quality muscle, and I hadn't spent enough time gaining, essentially. I was kind of one of those who was gaining, and then as soon as the abs started to disappear, I'd panic a little bit and pull back the calories, so I got a coach obviously for my first photo shoot. I had a coach for all of my photo shoots, but probably just didn't spend long enough gaining.
Right. Yeah, well, I'm nearly on the other end of the spectrum, because as I said, this is my first photo shoot. Up until this point, I have been powerlifting. I've been powerlifting for 7 years now. And usually with powerlifting, you are just trying to get as strong as physically possible. And every single year, the byproduct of that is you are building some serious
100%
muscle mass. And especially when you have a good coach, a good crew behind you. So I was training with abs for the last, I want to say, I've been with them over 3 years, and their programming, if you were looking at it on paper, you wouldn't think that was a powerlifting program. Like, there was always a lot of accessories, 100%. And I always put good intensity into them. But the main point being, I have spent all that time getting stronger, putting on muscle, not really getting out of shape per se. I've always been kind of lean, but there is a point where people need to sit back and think, right, if I'm going to diet down for 12, 14, 16 weeks, there needs to be something underneath to reveal. 100%. So if you're just constantly dieting down, not putting any effort into building muscle or building phases in general, you won't have too much to show off.
Absolutely, yeah. And I find that something that I like to do with people when they come to me for coaching is initially strip back the fat first, and then spend a period of time building.
Yeah, I'm 100%.
So you're not becoming this kind of skinny fat, you come out of shape, you strip back the body fat to a decent level where you're going to be more susceptible to actually building muscle, and then you spend a long period of time building, which is what I've done myself. I get coached, and I am currently being coached by Shane Story, and he's coached me for this photo shoot.
Nice.
And I spent over a year gaining with him, literally the full year. I don't even think we did any kind of diet breaks or maintenance phase. We might have done one little 4-week tidy up phase, but it was over a year of gaining, because I'm now with Shane almost a year and a half, and it's only the last 11 weeks I've been dieting.
Right, okay. Yeah, so like that with the powerlifting, so you can see it as maybe a good or a bad thing, but I kind of identified as myself as being an under 83 kg lifter, and I was nearly self-conscious to increase body weight because I didn't want to just pile on fat. So because of that, I just saw myself, filling out the weight class a little bit more and more each year.
100%.
But as a byproduct of that, as I said, I was putting on more muscle this
Yeah.
year, and it worked out great. But now I'm able to take it into my own coaching, and like that, if anybody comes to me and they're unsure of whether they need to put on muscle or lose fat, lose the fat first.
100%. Yeah.
And that's pretty much, that is the first point,
Yeah.
as we say.
Yeah, we're in agreement on that, yeah.
Yeah, so long time building some muscle. So number 2 then, and you have touched on it already, I haven't touched on it much yet, but number 2 would be, we're not coaching ourselves. And I think everybody, whoever, it doesn't even matter if you're photo shoot shape or just getting in shape in general, just get yourself a coach, because if you're not, you're just going to end up spinning your wheels.
100%.
So how have you found Shane so far, or working with a coach?
Excellent. I love working with Shane, and I suppose, you know, we spoke in our last video about how long I've been in the industry and stuff like that, and I was only thinking about it yesterday. I've had a coach the whole time. So since I started out, you know, properly lifting, you know, before I did my first photo shoot and all that, I've had a coach for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I've had 5 coaches. So on average, staying with each coach for 2 years. Now, some of them I stayed with a little bit shorter, some of them I stayed with a little bit longer. But I've been with Shane now the last year and a half. And one of the reasons I finished up with my previous coach was because he was purely bodybuilding.
Right.
So I was bodybuilding at the time when I started working with him, and I done 2 shows with him. Came 3rd in MBFI. That's my claim to fame. Terrible claim to fame, but anyway. And you know, I finished up with bodybuilding. Wife, kids, house, just too busy for all of that. So yeah, then I started working with Shane, and I've been with him now, as I said, you know, a year and a half, and can't say enough good things about him. Top class coach.
Yeah, and I have worked with him for over a year myself as well before that.
That's how I started working with Shane. Mark was working with him.
You're welcome, Shane. Yeah.
We won't charge you for the plug, Shane.
Yeah, referral scheme, get that
100%. Yeah.
But yeah, I had Shane Story. So I was working with 2 coaches at that time. So I had Shane Story for my nutrition, and I had Devis Barasas, for my powerlifting coaching, who works with abs.
Yep.
And yeah, I have had at least one coach for years now.
Yeah.
Over 5 years, I've had at least one coach working with me, be it for my training, nutrition, or both. And yeah, I think there's not many exceptions out there that I can think of that can get, especially in photo shoot shape, because as you said, you have kids, wife, you have the house, you have your job, you have other things to be worried
100%.
about, let alone have to worry about, oh, what calories do I need to aim for this week?
Absolutely.
I need to pull things back.
And the way I look at that is also, I have 70 to 80 clients at any one time myself. I'm worrying about them and what they need to do. I don't want to be worrying about what I need to do on top of that. So I pay somebody to tell me what to do, and I'll just go and do it. That's the way I look at it. So it's the best money I spend every month.
Yeah, me too.
Genuinely, it's like, that's not trying to plug or that's just the truth of the matter. It really is.
And that's why, so as I said, up until this point I have been powerlifting. This is my first photo shoot, so now I have a new coach. So Jake, thank you very much for setting up my plan. So I now have a new coach for this to set me up for the photo shoot, to get me as lean as possible. So if there's any bit of advice that I would have for you, if you're getting photo shoot lean, would be to get yourself a coach.
And just to finish that point, I recently had, as you know, 2 clients complete a photo shoot. And that's kind of part of the reason why I've decided to do another one. I got the itch on the day, but I had the itch prior, and you know, I had been saying it on my Instagram a little bit at different times, saying, you know, I'm getting the itch again. And I seen the 2 girls here, you know, they done the shoot in my PT studio, they done the shoot with Creative Dawn, and that's who we're doing ours with. And it just kind of got me thinking on the day, you know, I've never done one as a father, I've never done one as a husband, but I have coached people to do that, and I would like to know what that feels like. And it just kind of makes you that little bit more relatable again. If you have people in the future who are doing photo shoots, their parents, they have a lot of other stuff going on. So yeah, I wanted to challenge myself, and like that, I've been dieting for 10, 11 weeks, and I said to myself, I might as well make this diet phase worth it. Yeah. So we booked the shoot. We're 9 weeks out from today, actually. So yeah, so it's only another 9 weeks to go, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah, it'll fly by so well.
Yeah.
So yeah, point number 3, we are not changing our diet. What does that
Funnily enough, I've had this conversation with a few clients this week. my nutrition hasn't changed since I started dieting 11 weeks ago. So I haven't had a single drop in calories, not one. At the start of the prep, I was just back from New Zealand, so I was kind of about 102 kilos, 101. I think the day I started my diet was 101.7. Right. And as of this morning, I'm 91.6.
Right.
So in 11 weeks, I've dropped over 10 kilos.
Yeah.
Calories haven't changed once. The only thing, I'm still training 3 times per week, no more than that. And the only thing I've changed, Shane has changed for me, is additional cardio. And not even cardio, kind of structured cardio, but more so activity levels.
Yeah.
My steps have gone up and up and up each week. So I've gone from 8,000 to 9,000 to 10, and I'm currently between 12 and 15. And nothing else has changed.
Yeah, and similar enough for me. So I spent 4 weeks in January just doing a tidy up phase, because my last powerlifting competition, which was in December, was at a higher weight class, that under 93.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit heavier, but I was strong as ever, to be honest. But I gave myself the 2 weeks at Christmas to just enjoy myself. I came back then about 90, I believe I was 91.5. So that wasn't, I was heavy, I was chunky enough. But I gave myself the 4 weeks then to just tidy things up. I was running the Super 8 group intake as well, so we were all on the same.
Jumped on it with them.
Basically, show them how it's done.
Yeah.
And I lost over 4 kilos in those 4 weeks.
Yeah,
it was 4.5 kg. So I was trimming myself up nicely there. Spent a couple of weeks then maintaining, because I had this photo shoot at the back of my mind for the end of the year. You got in touch then saying that you were doing one in June, and I jumped at the opportunity for that. So next thing you know, we were 10 weeks away.
Yeah.
But during that maintenance phase, that dieting phase, and now this dieting phase, my nutrition, my actual food has remained the very same. And this is where people get it wrong, because they think because you're starting a diet that you just need to scrap everything out. You need to become Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen and just reinvent these meals that you're having. Whereas because we have decent habits built, but at this stage we're in it long enough, it's just a matter of our actual portion sizes. That's what
100%. 100%.
So I'm literally, in the morning time, I used to have 3 slices of toast, 3 eggs, and 3 medallions, 3. Pulling it back to 2, maybe 1 slice of toast now.
Yeah.
Just pulling back the carb. Yeah. Same thing with my bowl of oats, my pot of oats. Even if you watch me on my Instagram, so it's a little good pot. I used to have 100 to 120 grams of oats. That's pulled back to 60 to 80. And same thing then with the dinner. Rather than having rice, go for potatoes or something, but pulling it back from 400 grams to 300 grams. Something like that. When you break it down like that, it's so much easier. It's repeatable.
100%.
Enjoy it. And it's something that I will be able to stick to during this time.
Absolutely.
You're probably the same.
Yeah, I'm very, very similar. And, I know a lot of people don't like to eat the same thing every day. I do. So I pretty much have the same breakfast, the same lunch, and the same pre-bed meal every day. Dinner varies. Again, wife, kids, it depends on what we're having. But I don't use that as an excuse of, I'm cooking for my wife and 2 kids, I can't track what I'm eating. I can still track. And I'll have what they're having, but I'll just track it. As simple as that. Whether it's steak and potatoes, or mince and rice, or salmon and pasta, whatever it is, all of that stuff can still be tracked and cooked together as a family. So that's probably my only meal that really varies, but same as you, the quantities just come down. Simple as that. I don't need to reinvent the wheel and change everything. I just need to pull down the quantities a little bit, and that's all I've done.
And if as well, if you're with the family that night for a nice meal or whatever, you could just pull things back earlier on in the day to make up for that.
Generally, I don't need to. Because what I like to do is I plan my day in advance. So first thing in the morning, I'll sit down, I'll have my cup of coffee, and I'll spend 3 to 5 minutes logging out my day in terms of my nutrition. I know I'm hitting my protein, hitting my carbs, hitting my fats, hitting my fibre, hitting my overall calories, and I know what I'm doing for the whole day.
Yeah, sounds good. Next point then, number 3, or are we on to number 4? Number 3, not changing our training.
Yeah.
When it comes to my training, I have made very little changes in the last, I would say, 7 to 12 weeks. When I was transitioning from powerlifting to more bodybuilding style, let's say, I made a few adjustments in the case that I wasn't hitting the compound lifts as often. I was still including a squat variation, so I was doing high bar squats.
Yep.
A deadlift variation, I was doing RDLs.
Yep.
And a bench variation, I was just flat benching.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still doing those 3 things
Same.
to this day.
Yeah.
Because I started with a new coach this week, there is a few adjustments. But the point being that just because you're doing a photo shoot prep, that doesn't mean that you need to completely change your training either. Like, if anything, it should remain the same for as long as possible.
100%.
Because if you're constantly changing the variables every single week or every second week, how do you know if you're getting stronger? How do you know if you are actually improving in those lifts?
Absolutely.
So that's the main thing I'd be looking at when it comes to training. If there is a case where your energy is dipping down when you're a couple of weeks out from the photo shoot, we can maybe pull back the volume,
100%.
reduce down the set.
Have a deload week.
But you don't need to completely change up your training.
No, and that's one of the things with Shane as well. Like, my program, as you know, like, we train together all the time. My program, like, barely ever changes. A whole pile. Like, you might see some different variations coming in after a 6-week block or an 8-week block. I might change up cable bicep curls to dumbbell bicep curls, or go from skull crushers to tricep push downs. But it's like that. It's small, subtle changes. And, you know, similar to you, I've had flat bench press in my program for over a year. I've had trap bar deadlifts in my program over a year. RDLs and different variations, dumbbells, barbell. Currently doing bell squat RDLs, which are very nice. I've got a squat pattern in there. I'm doing bell squats for the longest time, you know, and there doesn't really need to be any changes, and my program hasn't changed at all due to the fact that I'm now doing a photo shoot prep. Everything stays the same. Like, I'm still going in, trying to beat the logbook every week, either progressing reps or progressing weight. It doesn't need to change just because you're in a prep or because you're in a fat loss phase. You know, and I know we're talking about photo shoot preps because that's what we're doing. A lot of people, maybe, hopefully there's more than 5 people watching this that might just want to
6 or watch it back.
My mother counts as well. So go into a fat loss phase. You know, if you're in a fat loss phase, it doesn't need to change either. And you don't need to change your program too frequently. And I think people get sidetracked and they see the new fancy exercise on TikTok or Instagram and think they need to add it in. Just spend a decent period of time progressing your lifts on a certain program before making any changes.
Where does Hyrox fit into this?
That's definitely another video. That's a whole other video.
Love me Hyrox. Right, number 4. This is number 4?
I think so.
Right. This is giving up the foods we love. I love my Easter egg and I love my spice bags, but if I am to get in photo shoot shape and I know that it's only a set period of time, I can give those things up.
Absolutely.
If you hear about these sustainable coaches online, but I would argue to the fact that not many of them have too much transformations to show off on their
100%.
page, and there's a reason for that. If you are making progress at a snail's pace, let's say you lose 3 pounds in 6 to 8 weeks and you're just crawling along, you go out for a night out, you hop up on the scale that Monday morning, you're up 4 pounds. It looks like the last 8 weeks you've gained a pound, you're in a mug.
Yeah.
It does not make sense. I would much prefer just be a little bit more restrictive for a set period of time, get the job done so you can move on to those more exciting phases, like that gaining phase that we were talking about at the very beginning. And I think if we can just accept the fact that we can't go into a cafe and just get a croissant or a scone every single time we walk past one, it will mean that we will get our results much quicker.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's definitely something that I would stress to my clients as well, you know, and like that. What's the photo shoot away now? 9 weeks. There's going to be a good few times where we have to say no. Prime example, before we started this video, Mark got a phone call offering him to go out for lunch. And he said no, right? Because we're in a photo shoot prep. And he could easily have said yes. But this is what I call short-term pain for long-term gain. And like, it's 9 weeks away. Yes, we have to say no for the next 9 weeks. But when we have our goal ticked off and the photo shoot is done, we get more calories to play with. We have more leeway. There's more room for enjoyment. But still, at the same time, we have to keep things in check.
Yeah, like, it is only going to be so long, this prep. It's not going to go on forever. And when you can break it down like that, I think it's a lot more manageable. Whereas if I was just to say, I'm doing a photo shoot prep, but I don't know when the photo shoot is,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm doing a diet, I don't know when it's going to end.
Yeah.
Then it's going to be a lot more difficult to stick to, because you can always say, all right, I'll start again next Monday, or I'll give myself the weekend off. Then it becomes a bit of a problem. But yeah, like you said there, just if you do have that start and end date, which I think brings us on to point number 5.
And our final point,
the most important one.
absolutely, yeah, like that. We didn't say we're going to do a photo shoot and say, we'll do it whenever we feel like it. We picked a date and we booked a photographer for that date and we nailed down a date. And I think that's really important to do, you know, for yourself when you're starting out, or, you know, if you're in the middle, whatever stage you're at. If you have a goal, set an end date for that goal. Like, for example, if you want to lose a stone, right, that's 14 pounds. What's a sustainable time frame to lose that weight in? Give yourself an end date and strive for that and push yourself hard to get there.
Yeah, and because you're giving yourself that end date, it just makes the diet, like in the previous one, so much easier to stick to, because you know it's only going to be a couple more weeks before you can start including those foods you love again. Exactly. And it's a win-win, because you will get to that end date, you'll be in, hopefully, the shape of your life.
Yeah.
And then being able to factor that stuff in and then learn how to maintain that, be a little bit more relaxed with your diet, rather than if you went the other route, the sustainable route, you get to that same date, you haven't lost the weight, you're still trying to include the foods you love, you're frustrated as fuck, and then you're going to blame everything but the goal, the plan that you set out yourself. So I just think it is so much easier. And like that, it was this time, it was last Wednesday, I believe, that we officially booked in the photo shoot.
Yeah.
It was that weekend we were gone to Nottingham for a business event, and I had pints planned. I was gone out for the beer, but
I was at home tucked up in bed.
But like that, it doesn't mean that you need to live like a Buddha for the next 10 or so weeks, however long the end date may be. But it will just make you that bit more aware of what you need to do, just planning in advance that little bit more. Because like that, I could have went to that event, could have taken the piss, had pizza the 3 nights we were there, the 2 nights, however many we were there, go out, have all the pints I wanted, and just pig out on the breakfast buffet. There was lovely croissants, there was nice brekkie going on there.
Nice buffet.
But like that, we said to ourselves, look, we have this goal in 10 weeks' time. It's not going to be forever. We can enjoy all that stuff. That stuff is going to be there when we finish up.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I think a lot of people can forget that when they don't set that end date. So just giving yourself a start and end date, working your arse off during that time, and then being able to factor that stuff back in. Because at the end of the 10 weeks, what is it, the 18th of June, I believe?
19th, is it?
19th.
Friday the 19th, I think.
19th of June. We're into summer then.
Yeah.
We're in the absolute shape of our lives.
Exactly.
Maintain that over the summer. It'll be a very nice summer.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that people really need to think about when they're looking at starting a diet.
Definitely. And it just creates like more urgency as well when you have an end date. Pick an end date and work hard to achieve your goal in that time frame. And as you said, just remember that all of those foods, all of those social occasions, events, they're all going to be there after you get to where you want to be, and you've got more leeway and got more room to enjoy them once you've completed it or ticked off that goal.
That's it. And if anything, there's going to be events, like it's not going to be a clear run of things. It never is. We're all human. Like
100%.
But it will give you the experience to know. You can look back on the time and be like, oh, I was actually able to stay on track over those times.
Yeah.
It didn't, just because there was a wedding or there was a party going on, I could still go out and enjoy myself. I was a little bit mindful. Maybe I had to factor in 3 or 4 drinks before going out, but I was still actually able to get a great result and still enjoy myself.
2 prime examples, like you just mentioned Nottingham, and the two of us being over there, and we were able to factor that in. We were both still able to make progress. And now this weekend I'm going for a night away. Going for a hotel stay. I'm still going to hit my calories, I'm still going to hit my targets, I'm still going to track everything, and I can still make progress. It's not an excuse to just stop or to throw everything to the side because I have something coming up.
Yeah, and that goes for not just photo shoot prep, but
exactly
just fat loss in general.
This is applicable to every goal.
Yeah, like same thing again. I have my Super 8 crew. They're 2 weeks in now, and like that, there's going to be plenty of things going on the next 6 weeks for them that they need to factor in.
100%.
But because they have that start date, they have that end date, they have that urgency there, like you mentioned, it's going to be a big motivating factor for them to keep going, because at the end of the 8 weeks, the majority of them are going to get in fantastic shape.
And the most important thing, they have a coach guiding them through it.
You said it.
Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to
wrap it up,
cap things off.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. If you like that video, make sure to like, share, subscribe. Make sure to comment as well if you have any other questions on those 5 points. But if not, we shall catch you in the next one.
Yep. Thank you very much for tuning in. Peace out.
Chat soon.